What's going on, YouTube? I just picked up a cool project. It's a big tool that I've been wanting to put in my shop for a while, and I found it on Facebook Marketplace. I just drove like an hour and 15 minutes. Actually, I drove an hour and 15 minutes this morning real early, and the person never got back to me with the address. Normally I wouldn't leave that early to go pick something up, especially without being notified that it's actually available still. But I rolled the dice and I was able to get a hold of the person about 3 hours later. So I just went and picked it up. It's on the trailer. I'm on a super bumpy road right now, and when I get it home, I will show it to you. So stay tuned. This is my new bandsaw. I have been looking for a big industrial bandsaw for quite some time, either for cutting wood or for cutting metal. This one, as you can see, is a Globe Stimson. This is actually a meat cutting saw. It has a aluminum table. This is stainless steel. I think this was homemade. I'm guessing they probably had to have an all stainless steel top. First thing I noticed is the adjuster up here is basically seized up. It still turns, but the cylinder in here is seized because it's obviously steel inside of aluminum housing, so I'm gonna have to get that moving and freed up. So I got some penetrating oil sitting on it now. The guide here also is seized up inside the housing, once again steel versus aluminum, so I have oil sitting on that trying to get that freed up. This sat in a shed for I don't know how many years, so it's kind of weathered, but I did purchase it with the understanding that it did not work. So not a big deal, it is electric. The switch on here is pretty awesome, but apparently it does nothing when you do that. This is a model 140D. It is serial number 141755. Just guessing that's maybe 1955. Would be kind of cool. The paint is chipping, flaking off. Probably lead paint if it's 1955. Yay, more lead paint stuff. Volts 230, horsepower 1.5. Here's the motor right here, drive belt. The belt is extremely worn out. Janky wiring here going on. This has been changed out because it does have a 110 plug on it. The motor is a 115-230 and is only a 1 horse, so the motor has been changed out at some point. But everything does move and turn the way it should, so I'm going to try getting the motor running initially, and if for some reason that doesn't work, then I can go on from there. Basically the same situation as replacing the motor on my air compressor, because I would like more than just a single horsepower. There are a couple measurements on this piece of stainless, and then this does come out, exposing the lower pulley. Let's see. This door on the side for the lower belt access is in decent shape. The handle needs tightened up. This panel's bent, and then this panel over here is completely missing, so I'll have to fabricate a new panel for that. Not a big deal. Time to get working on it. I don't know what all this rope is doing in here. Oh, holding the motor in place, of course. Yeah, because there's only one bracket. Should I try and fire it up and see if it works? Even though the guy said it didn't? Heck, why not? Let's see, we got wires coming in and stuff kind of taped together and blah blah blah. I'd like to get to the back of the switch and see if it's actually working, but everything's just kind of... Oh, here we go. Let me take it apart. Guess I could just take off this whole panel, but I really only need the switch right now. Okay. Okay. Well, the switch works. Okay, cool. I'm guessing it's wired in correctly. I don't know. Well, that's a good thing. So since this switch works, I need to fab up a cover plate because I think it's too cool. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and plug it in. Watch for sparks. Yep, nothing. I guess there's something either by the motor or down that junction box. Okay, I think I found the problem. This white wire was hooked to the green coming off the motor. This other wire here, the white wire coming off the motor, was hooked into the other side coming off. The green one coming off the plug is running up into the switch. I think it's just a wiring mix-up, which is very common. I'm going to go ahead and switch out the entire plug because that one is falling apart, it's corroded, the insulation is cracked. So I'm just going to eliminate that and then wire everything properly according to what's going on up here. Hopefully that's what fixes it and then we'll be good to go. The belt has seen better days, and then I need to fabricate a bracket. And since I got get a new belt anyway, actually that's mounted on a pivot. So basically the weight of the motor is what puts tension on it. I don't understand why there's a rope. I guess maybe there's too much tension. I have no idea. Anyway, let me get that figured out, and then we'll roll on from there. All right, I got the new setup wired in. The switch is still loose, but I want to at least plug it in to make sure that everything works fine. Ready? Okay, works. Yeah, it draws a little bit of power. Let's see. Oh yeah, that thing really moves. Okay. Nice. That is kind of scary, but nice. Well, my electrical cord's a little short, so no big deal. That's what extension cords are for. Anyhow, cool, it works. So I can get to basically getting this cleaned up and functioning the way it needs to go. She's taking grease. Yeah, that should be fine. A little bit of corrosion, probably leftover blood and guts and things. Not a big deal. Just need to do a lot of cleaning. Looks like that screw's probably broke off right there. This screw is broke off right here. There's a lot of hardware missing pieces, which is cool. Hardware I can deal with. Yeah, just lots of cleanup, kind of getting everything adjusted and sorted. I still have to, let's see, all three, so 3 of these screws came loose, but this one is stuck. The adjustment shaft for the belt or for the blade tension is still seized in here. I'm not sure what this hole goes to. That's probably a handle of some sort. But first things first, easy things. I'm gonna scrape that glue off. And of course it's corroded underneath. Maybe do a full tear down restoration sometime, but probably won't do that. This is going to be functionality and maybe some light cosmetic. Just for the gee whiz factor, I took the cover off the top bearing here. I see it's still pretty dry looking. Try to get this just well lubed. There we go. Now you can see it coming out in between. Oh yeah. Much better. Need to get my hammer ready. There she goes. Nice. That worked. Sweet. Yeah. Good stuff. Okay, now I can take that out and get everything else kind of moving freely. Alright, well, I apologize for the noise. Apparently my neighbor is sanding a bunch of stuff, which is cool because then they don't complain about my noise. It's a little warm. You take those out, I guess. Clean up threads on that too. Well, those two holes are stripped out, so I'm going to just cut the heads off them. I got to redo that whole block anyway. Well, of course, I got all but one. The last one did break off, but you can see how corroded they are. They're pretty nasty. Got that bottom one out after cutting the head flat on each side. I figured that one was coming, but it ended up snapping off, so no big deal. At least I can pull the block off and get the rest of it turned out, hopefully, without messing up the threads. A little warm. You stay there, and all right. Okay, let's see if we can get this thing out of here. There we go. Oh yeah. If you can see that, a little corrosion on her, but that's okay. We'll get it cleaned up and polished. Slide back up in there, no problem. Oh yeah. Looks like clean threads underneath even. Come on. Alright, turn that off. Oh yeah. Nice. Sweet. Okay. Got it out. Cool. Saved all of them. running a tap through all the holes just to make sure they're good and clean. I already cleaned up all the bolts and ran a die across those. 1/4 of course. Come on. Oh, God. Ew, 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 ew. Okay, take 2. The bottom edge of this block here was bent, so it was pinching on the edge of the sliding block there. So now, boom. Oh, beautiful. Now then, washer goes on top. Gotta clean that off, oh well. Oh, which it is steel going into steel, you know. However, might as well make it easy for the next guy. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Beautiful. Okay, perfect. Here's that slide block. Got a little bit of oil sitting on there to try and take it apart. Here we go. Yeah, a lot of crud in there. That's not too bad. Clean this up and run a little anti-seize on it. Pretty much, oh, what? There's another set screw down in there. It looks like that one is a flathead. Okay. Oh yeah, coming right out. Get those cleaned up, run some anti-seize on them. There's just garbage and mouse turds in here. Carcasses of days gone by. Anyway, get that cleaned up. Okay, this is a meat cutting blade. I want to convert this over to either a metal blade, cutting blade, or a wood cutting blade. Now, this blade would probably still cut wood, but it definitely won't cut metal. So what I'm going to have to do is I need to measure this so I make sure that I get the right size blade. I'm going to show you how I do that. I'm going to start off by putting a mark on my floor with a marker. And then I want to make sure that I have enough room to basically roll out the entire length of the blade. Probably good 8-10 feet or so. Now, in addition to making a mark on the floor, I also want to mark my blade. So I put a line on my blade, and then I'm going to line up these 2 marks in correspondence with each other. Now, I'm sorry there's a lot of boxes in the shop, but we are getting ready to move. So like I said, I line up my marks on the floor. Perfect. And then all I'm going to do is I'm just going to roll my blade. Don't forget to bring your marker with you. You will need it. Alright, so now my mark is back on the floor. I made one full rotation, and I'm going to mark that with my marker. Boom. So now I have a mark at each end of where I'm going to measure. So here you go, all stretched out, and there it is right there. 110 inches from one Mac to the other Mac. Easy as that. I got the guide block all disassembled. As you can see, it was packed full of old nasty wood. It's rusty, corroded, gummed up. There we go, all cleaned up. Once again, this is just a functional restoration, not really a cosmetic restoration, but I did take the time to kind of polish the aluminum. Nice. Alright, well, this thing's coming along pretty nicely, but I am missing a panel on the side of the unit. So I got this locker door here that I'm going to be cutting a piece of metal out of to patch that up. Let me get out my handy dandy cutoff wheel, buzz through that, and get her done. What? Oh, the background looks different? What are you talking about? Oh yeah, I moved. And now I have an 11-foot ceiling. And I'm still trying to organize things. Better keep moving. There we go. Alright, trim up, basically make it kind of a flat piece of metal. I want to do a light tidy on this, so I'm going to clean up this handle a bit. As you can see, it's pretty grody and dingy before I throw it back on there, because I want to just kind of make everything a little bit nicer looking. So start off with this. There we go. Better than nothing. Alright, got the edge all cut off, and then I put some relief cuts in this middle support to clear the top and bottom bars. They're about 1 inch thick. These mounting holes down here are actually threaded, so put a little lubricant in there, and I'm going to run the tap through them. They are 1/4-20, clean them up. Okay, you see that piece of rope? Well, it just so happens to be in my way because the panel won't sit flush against here with all this rope. Best I can tell, all this rope does is hold the motor down to keep tension on the belt. But, I mean, like, the motor keeps tension on the belt, just the weight of that, because it hinges on this cross member, and then so it just kind of rocks back and forth. So I'm going to take this rope off so I can mount my panel. There we go. See? I mean, that's pretty decent tension. I need a new belt, but that one will do for now. On the other side here, I had just a smaller panel that I went ahead and took off. Obviously this thing owed someone money. Just the top screws were in it, the bottom was loose, so that's probably why it was kind of bent. This screw is actually broken off, so I'm going to chase these holes, try and run that one out of there. She's pretty locked up tight, and I just broke off the back. Okay, I guess that one's getting drilled out. All the mounting holes are drilled and tapped. See if we can get a little flatness back in this panel. cool. Let's see. Well, one of the doors that was actually still attached, kind of, has just these little steel hinges. One of the screws was missing. This one was extremely loose, so the whole door kind of hung down and caught on the bracket. So found a piece of hardware, went ahead and cleaned up the threads in these, cleaned up the hinges. They were pretty rusty. Taking a bit of the original rope, and I'm going to run it down through these hinge sockets in order to clean out some of the rust that's in there, because I don't have a wire brush that's small enough. Just like threading a needle. Is it harmful to burn lead paint? I don't know. You know, I think it's one of those questions that nobody knows the answer to. There it goes. Heat always works. Over the years, this thing's been taken apart several times probably, and they lost a lot of the hardware. But these screws are all flathead screws, which are kind of hard to come by. Unfortunately, my wife's grandfather passed away last year, and we went over and we're going through some of his stuff in his garage, and he had this little tray of hardware, you know, like so many of us do. But the cool thing was, it's all flathead bolts with nuts. Some of them even square nuts, which is really awesome. And you've heard in some of my other videos of me looking for flathead hardware because it's vintage and it looks cool. It's more period correct. I don't know what he kept this hardware from, but I'm sure glad he did, because I'm able to replace all of the hardware on here for the most part with the correct flathead hardware and flathead screws. I wonder if at some point he thought to himself, you know, someday my favorite granddaughter is going to marry a fellow who's going to need a bunch of flathead screws. So I'm going to go ahead and hold on to these for him. I don't know. But I'm sure glad he did. Oh yeah, now I remember why I disassembled this after I took the table off. Alright, anyone remember how this goes together? And on the other side was this fiber block, which doesn't really do anything anymore. I thought about making a wooden one. Well, I just put it on there for now just because I'm making an aluminum one later on. Okay. Up underneath this side of the table is these internally threaded studs here. Of course, they're 1/4 and they were gone. Well, of course, that set of hardware that my grandfather-in-law had these high-domed little flathead screws, and they fit perfect. Once again, thanks, Grandpa. Using a wet paper towel to get the bulk of the dirt and leftover blood. But what would you expect? Like I said, this thing was basically in an open shed outside. Well, that wraps it up for this video. She's all back together and she is functionally restored. A little bit of tidying, very little, mind you. Most of it is covered in this lead paint, so I will do a cosmetic restoration later on. I don't want to mess with that right now and end up getting anybody sick or anything of that nature. So that pretty much wraps it up. I'm looking forward to using this saw. I'm really excited about it. I love this piece of basically early industrial machinery. I want to thank you all for watching my videos. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe if you want to see more content like this. But until then, thank you and God bless. You didn't really think I'd end this video without trying to cut something, right? Wait a minute, this is a meat saw. Come here, kitty. Just kidding, we love Mingo. Don't we? As always, thanks for liking, commenting, and subscribing.